right, so welcome. Today we have our guest, James Murrow, Director of Operations with BridgePort, and some super interesting topics about technology in the supply chain and logistics field in the industry. And particularly today, we're going to start with sustainability powered by technology. And then we're also going to touch on artificial and augmented intelligence. These are pretty big topics. They are far above my mind, but they sound super interesting. So I'm so glad that we have your expertise to tell us more about these things that are happening in the world that not all of us might be aware of. And I don't even think people in the supply chain industry might be aware of these things either. So thank you for being here. Thank you for
Well,
sharing
thank
your
you for inviting me. So
knowledge.
thank you. Well, go ahead.
I was saying, we're so glad that you're sharing your knowledge with us.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. So I know we talked about several things earlier, and I can particularly around sustainability and how industry is driving sustainability, and particularly in what we're doing in warehousing and how we're trying to drive sustainability into our processes and also in helping the neighborhoods where we locate. So, one project in particular we talked about earlier that you found interesting, and I'll go into a little detail on that, is that the warehouse that we're building in Cleveland, we're also going to include affordable, obtainable housing as part of this project. So we're entering into the city core, and we don't want to come in and be a disruptor to the community. We also want to be a asset to the community. So not only offering jobs, but also building this sustainable housing that's affordable. And one way that we're looking at doing that is by our building that we're building, the warehouse, is going to be a solar building. So we're capturing energy, obviously, through a solar wrap. So we're wrapping the entire building so it can absorb energy. And the building, the warehouse itself, is also going to have a area where we're going to keep refrigerated products. And that refrigeration creates a lot of heat. So we're collecting electricity and we're also generating heat. And by having and developing the sustainable housing, one way of making it more sustainable is by pumping that excess heat into the building instead of just pumping it into the atmosphere. We're going to pump it into the building. That's going to help our tenants lower costs by lowering their utilities costs. And then when we have access electricity, instead of simply pushing it back into the grid, we're going to push it to these housing units, again, to lower cost.
So it's a whole new take on affordable housing. Most of the time we think affordable housing where they're trying to just fit something within the budget of the area. And in
Mm-hmm.
this sense, it's really making it sustainably affordable by reducing those costs in a whole different way. It's not the government that's helping pay for it. It's not reducing the cost just monetarily. It's reducing the cost and the carbon footprint as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the thing is that we discovered this as we were thinking about how we could, support whatever neighborhood that we went into. So we did a real live study where we brought in several dozen people and started asking them what they thought were the challenges around, uh, affordable housing. And one of the things they said was utility costs, because, like you just said, instead of building a cheap building so that you can charge less. Uh, and so therefore, because you're not putting, these organizations weren't investing into installation and stuff like that,
Yeah.
these residents were having challenges with high utility bills. So we thought we have an opportunity to address that. So
Yes, and because anytime financial assistance gets involved, right? Like you see this, especially like when COVID started, or if there's any like kind of tragedy that happens in an area, it's always, hey, just go to your local churches and they'll help pay for your bills.
Mm-hmm.
Because those LG&E bills, or for us where I'm at, it's an LG&E bill. Those electric bills, those are really high costs, especially in the summer for the air conditioner, for that electricity, and then especially in the winter when we're trying to stay warm. So instead of trying to freeze ourselves a little bit so that we can
Mm-hmm.
afford our bill, they can actually have heat and not be worried about that bill.
And that's what we're hoping for. And the thing is that it was just a different way of us using the available technologies to assist the neighborhoods that we are going to be entering. As we look at going forward, we want to consider this kind of practice in our obtainable housing or workforce housing, because we want to be able to offer a lot more than just a place to live. We want to have a place for them to strive and move forward. So as
Perfect.
part, and so we can use technology for that.
So we have a large warehouse, because most warehouses are very large. So we're utilizing that size to be able to capture this electricity. We're also providing jobs within that
Mm-hmm.
area. So that's beautiful. And now we're providing housing to go along with that. Who is the housing intended for? Is that intended for the people that are going to be working? Is that intended just for anyone in the community? Tell us more about that.
Well, it's we're going to make it available to everybody in the community, and if and what we're designing it for is working size families. So so it's not going to be a one bedroom units. It's going to be multiple bedroom units. So we want to invite the community in. We want to invite the people that have worked for us to those places, and we want to offer as much support as we can for people who would be in those units.
Very
So
nice.
and so yeah.
Yeah, and
And
so and then people that are going to be working in the warehouse, and I'm just asking these questions that I know is going to be on the forefront of these people's minds, like, oh my gosh, there's a warehouse coming into my community. And they're going to say, are those jobs really for us? How are we qualified to work in this warehouse?
well, that's an interesting question because we train people to work in our warehouse. We have coursework that we've developed. Our local community college has adopted it. We have been training people for all of this year on how to work in a warehouse. So not only so they could work in any warehouse once they go through this coursework, but we're training people that are from that area that on developing those skills so that we can hire them and bring them in. So
Okay, perfect. It's the perfect solution. So you've got this full pipeline going. And then, of course, people are going to go, how long does a program take and how much does it cost?
well, we've been the program takes 10 weeks,
Wow.
and we've been lucky to have sponsors that have been paying for our students to come through it. Now, the program is $2,500, but again, so far, I think no one has come through our program and actually paid. So there are uh, really good sponsors for the program that's helped us out with this and helped out the students greatly. And not only by paying their tuitions, but giving them laptops, giving them equipment that they'll need after graduating, like work boots and gloves and safety harnesses and stuff like that that they would need going forward. And also they've offered other services that support us, like soft skills, so like interview training and resume building. So again, our partners, which is the community college, has really helped us out a lot in
That's
getting this
amazing.
program together.
It's amazing. So it's making it so that they can go to college. And I know most colleges also have like free transportation through bus passes and things of that nature. And then so they can stay in their community, they can work in their community, they can up level their housing into their community. So it's really, really community oriented. And it's amazing that you all have done the research to make sure that you're checking in with these people to make sure that these people in this community are supported and they're not going to be like, I don't want this. There's no reason why they shouldn't want it.
No, no, again, right, like we said, we did our own study, but we reached out to the local community development organizations to get input from them. We've reached out to the city of Cleveland to get their input. So we've got a lot of input, and we take that very seriously and try to incorporate into what we're doing. So
Perfect.
that's why we are looking at the workforce, we're looking at the housing. I mean, our location was also directed on a lot of suggestions from these organizations. We are on the bus line so that people can catch the bus to work. We are there is a rapid or a rail service that we are right next to. So all these things we considered so that we could, what we always said we were going to do here at Bridgeport was to create the next generation of warehouse.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to work with not only our global partners, our national partners, but we also wanted to work for our local partners. So what we came up with was this our new warehouse, and I think that it checks a lot of boxes.
It does. And let's bring it back to that warehouse. So when we tend to think about warehouses and how the supply chain industry is working, we tend to not think of sustainability. We tend to think more of we're causing more trucks and more cars and we're making these large places and then it's offsetting a lot of communities. But we're also seeing that people are just moving to more online buying nowadays as well. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me, how are we really bringing on sustainability aside from maybe solar wraps and affordable housing? How's sustainability really being powered by technology?
Well, one of the things that we're also doing is that as part of our warehouse, we are managing the delivery of our products to our customers, and we're using electric vehicles for that. So we are actually working with one of our large partners to develop a not only an electric delivery van, but a refrigerated electric delivery van, so that we can deliver the products to our customers without breaking the cold chain. So so that makes our delivery process sustainable.
Wow, yeah, that's perfect. It's definitely going to help reduce what we tend to think of. And then, of course, with gas prices nowadays, and they're only going to continue to go up. So it's also smart business wise, too.
Yeah. Yeah,
It,
and I think that so that way we also are helping our customers meet their environmental goals too. So now they can say that their deliveries are not impacting the planet negatively. And so we are trying to do we're looking at every system that we have, every process that we do to see how we can eliminate waste. So even as we deliver products, the material that we deliver the products in, the wrapping material, the packaging equipment, we collect that and
okay.
reuse it again. So again, we're trying to reduce waste every opportunity we can.
Yeah, I love that. I know one product I order, they actually make the little styrofoam pieces out of
Mhm.
potato, like recycled potato. You can eat the styrofoam pieces. I'm like, it's baffling how much like people are
Mhm.
putting thought into creating less waste. And I love that Bridgeport's on board with doing that, not only for Bridgeport company, but to help out the other companies that want to be
Mhm.
sustainable as well.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, and not only are we looking at what is sustainability issues, that we can address right now. We're also looking to the future of how we can become even more sustainable. So, we all know that drones are coming. They're they're not here yet, but they're coming. But we're not that far away from it. So now, again, that's another way of reducing energy by using drones to make deliveries, to even from small deliveries like delivering to an individual customer, but also in large deliveries, delivering to some of our larger clients. So we're delivering like a half a truckload of material by drone. That's going to be in the very near future, and it's one of the things that we are working on right now to solve those uh, 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 uh,
Those meetings.
practical issues right now.
Yeah.
So,
And I like the sound of that because that's less trucks on the road, less traffic.
mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that also helps the community as well.
yeah, and again, right, without really impacting the communities that we're in. Those that's going to be something that's going to happen. So we might as well embrace it, and so it's going to reduce energy use. It's going to reduce traffic. It's going to reduce noise. All those things are, noise pollution is just as bad as lighting pollution and all these other different types of pollution where people tend to overdo them. So, but
Yeah.
we're going to reduce all of that, and we consider all of that as we move forward.
And those are great topics alone. I hear about those occasionally, but those are not talked about enough, especially in the city and in urban living. Is yes, noise pollution and light pollution. That's so brilliant to think about those even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I think I have been very lucky in in uh, in working for a very smart company. So and we are trying to do the best we can for the not only for our customers, but also for the people that we live near.
Yeah, and this ability to try new, this ability to think outside the box. It's like Bridgeport's kind of like the Google of supply chain.
I'll sort of accept that. Yes.
All right. Well, moving on to our next topic. Our next topic is artificial and augmented intelligence. And I have to say, I know a little bit about artificial intelligence, but I'm sure I'm not half as intelligent on the topic as you are. So, give us a little overview about what is artificial and augmented intelligence.
Well, it's basically uh, uh, we create analytical solutions based that we create databases, that those databases drive specific uh, solutions for our equipment.
Give us
So
an example.
we'll have a robot who is turning a screw. That's the only thing that arm has to do is turn a screw. Well, what artificial intelligence, including machine learning, is that we are getting data from that piece of equipment. That data then automatically makes adjustments so that that arm can start, that robotic arm can now start doing more complicated process. So instead of just screwing one screw, now it could tighten up every screw on that particular piece of, say it's an engine. Now it can tighten every last one of them. And then in doing so, now we've eliminated error. We've sped up the manufacturing process. And so in terms for us, which in terms of how we're managing that, it also eliminates risk for our employees because we do have a refrigerated environment. And so to reduce the amount of time that our employees has to go into those refrigerated environments, that we can use robotics, automation through artificial intelligence and machine learning to do tasks that they now dangerous tasks and in a dangerous environment they don't no longer have to do.
I like that. Yeah. So it's not only efficient for the employer, it's efficient for the employee and safer for the employee. And I'm sure it reduced risks across the board, not just for the employee themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the thing is that and it reduces costs at the same time. And again, that goes back to environmental. If we are having a refrigerated area that we have to keep in a very tight zone, so we don't want people walking in there, because then because if they walk in there, they're going to change the temperature of that area, and then therefore we have to turn on the refrigeration unit, and therefore we're using more energy and stuff like that. So we want to make the maintenance more efficient. We want to make the safety better for our employees, and we want to be able to manage the processes as efficiently as possible.
Love it.
So our software gives us instructions based on what's going on, the data it collects, on what and how we should design our process to make it as efficiently work as efficiently as possible. So not only for our equipment, but also for our employees.
Perfect. So Bridgeport does this for your all self in your own warehouse. How do you utilize this technology to possibly help other people who have warehouses or supply chain?
Well, what we do is we partner with some global companies, so
Mhm.
they help us as we are developing our processes, and we are constantly exchanging information. So as we learn something new, we're pushing this information out to our partners, and our partners then utilize that information to make better solutions, not only for us, but for all their additional customers. So we don't mind sharing data, and I think it just improves the entire process along every company that's working on something like this.
Awesome. And Bridgeport is also a consulting company as well. So Bridgeport consults other supply chain businesses. In being partners, do you mean the people that you're working with in that sense, or is that another term?
Well, in terms of when I say partners, we have tech partners who are who are who are other businesses that we work with. So there, some of them are customers, some of them are vendors to us, but we call them all partners because we're all working towards the same goal.
I
So
love
so we're willing to share information. Like like we have a hospital partner. They are a customer of ours. So we share information back and forth because they would be the experts on specific materials like medications around human tissue or anything like that we're storing. They would be the expert on that. So we supply data for them so we can get feedback, so we can improve the process of managing that particular product.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I love that because Bridgeport totally has heart in everything that you all are doing. And it also shows that you really are trying to make the industry, if not the world, with all this sustainability, a better place. And a lot of companies, I think in the past at least, have withheld a lot of information, but you all are not scared to share it because you know that you all are one of the best in the industry for this, and you have that new innovative technology and concepts that it's not a thing to withhold.
Well, I don't think that, I think when I've run into companies who won't share data, who are very secretive, I think they have fear for a reason. They're afraid of competition. I don't think we're afraid of competition.
No, it doesn't seem
We
like
look
it.
at right. We look at competition again, right? We may be competing against them on one project, or we might be partnering with them on another project. So this really should be no fear. We don't have fear of other companies. They may be doing something slightly different, or maybe doing something very similar. But again, right, we may be a partner with them 6 months from now. So
And
No
that's a
reason to be
great
fearful.
mentality to have. I think that definitely has a standout quality for Bridgeport that if I had my own company, I would definitely want to partner with Bridgeport. It would create a friendliness that would be welcome.
Well, thank you. We are trying hard. So,
Yes, I see that. Well, thank you, James, for having this beautiful conversation. How do we then merge these two together? So, the sustainability powered technology and the artificial and augmented intelligence. How are those combined together?
well, I think that as you can see, what we're talking about is that when it comes down to it, information is really critical for both of these. So the information that we were able to gather from a survey made us make a decision on what we're going to do for sustainability for this particular warehouse. I think as we look at and examine data that we get from our partners, our customers, then we make decisions on what we need in terms of technology inside the building. What's the stress points that we have to make sure that we meet? And then that's going to dictate, as we work with our artificial intelligence and work with our machine learning, what do we need to have done? And so therefore that directs us. So put it together, the thing that really drives all of this is data, is information.
It's data. And
Mm-hmm.
we see this emerging in even like the MBSA programs where data analytics, it's really this new career. I know at Bridgeport there is a couple interns coming in. I think I heard
Mm-hmm.
there was a new intern in data analytics, particularly.
Mm-hmm.
And Bridgeport also is really supportive in bringing on interns, as well as I think you recently worked on a problem statement at USC as well to help support students continuing their learning.
Yeah, it was actually some of the leadership of Bridgeport all volunteered their time to work with some USC students on solving a problem, and and I I give great credit to the leadership at Bridgeport. I know they've done this at Howard University. They've done it at community colleges where they've gone up and beyond what is normal to work with students on solving problems, real world problems. I
Yeah.
remember the problem they worked on at Howard University was a real live project that we were just kicking off for Bridgeport in Louisville, where we work with those students to solve that problem. So I think it was a great project for them. So I commend the leadership at Bridgeport for supporting students.
All right. Well, I think that really sums it up. Bridgeport is all about creating a better future through the actions and the business decisions for the company
Mm-hmm.
itself, for the industry that you're working with, but
Mm-hmm.
also for our upcoming leaders in the industry, supporting them in learning how to problem solve and how to look for these higher solutions within everything.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you for joining us. And James, I hope to see you back. I think we're going to talk about drone technology next time.
Oh, well, great. There's a lot to talk about.
All right.
Okay. Okay.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
All right. Bye.